and I would say welcome. Hello, Tina.
Hello, Steven. How are you?
I'm good.
For our notification to pop up.
Oh, brilliant. I'm good. I mean, we're sat in the sunshine in Wiltshire in England, and we say hello to our special guest, Ross Brand. Hello, Ross.
Hey, Steven. Hey, Tina. Thanks so much for having me.
Hello, Ross. Thank you for joining us.
Our pleasure. And this is Grow Your Live Tribe with Tina, Steven, and Ross today. And I'm just waiting to see whether we've actually gone live.
We have. It finally popped up for me.
All right, it's popped up for me as well. I'm just going to go back there. Yeah, I mean, our subject is growing your live tribe, and that's something you've been doing for quite a while, Ross.
Yeah, I started live streaming, I guess, two years ago, and I would say, like, we were just talking, off the air about how with Facebook, your notifications and basically what the algorithm feeds you is based on who you're communicating with the most, who you're liking and engaging with, and all that kind of stuff. And 2 years ago, I knew basically nobody in the live stream community. And now it's rare that I get a notification or I keep calling it a notification, but I get something in my timeline from somebody who isn't an active live streamer or very heavily active on social media. So it's an entire change. It's an entirely new community of people that I've not only connected with, but I'm in touch with on a regular basis. I'm messaging, I'm talking to, I'm commenting on their stuff. They're coming on my show. I'm going on their show and so forth. So it's really been almost like a life changer in terms of opening the doors to, people all over the world that I had no previous knowledge of.
That's right. I mean, it is quite a large group, isn't it? We're talking about 300 or 400 people who melded as a group on Blab, and then went to, we've got a journey to go through, Huzzer, Fire Talk, Smile Time. And then we ended up on BeLive.
Yes.
I just waited for BeLive.
That's it. That's probably smart.
While we're talking about growing your live tribe, take a second to talk to the people who are not necessarily growing their tribe, but who are interested in watching us or in other topics. I don't know if people understand how the Facebook algorithm works, and that there's like, a certain weight attributed to what you do on Facebook. So if you like something or comment on something or share something, then Facebook takes notice of that. And that's how that algorithm determines what you're going to see in your feed.
That's right.
So the likes have a little bit of weight, not much, because people are like happy nowadays. Like everything or heart it or whatever. So if you're liking it or putting the heart or the thumbs up or whatever,
you're going to see more of that. Yeah.
A little bit of weight. A comment gives you more weight. A share gives you the most weight. And I think people don't share that often. I think we're really, because our fees are so heavy, we're really conscientious about what we share. But if you want to see more of something, you need to share it. So if there's a particular thing that 2 years ago, I was heavily involved in journalism. And so I shared anything journalism related, industry related, not necessarily stories, but anything related to the industry of journalism. And that's all I saw in my feed.
Right.
Now I've shifted gears toward live streaming, and like Ross, I see mostly things related to live streaming because that's what I share. But don't be so conscientious that you're not sharing the stuff that you want to see more of, because Facebook's not going to show it to you if you don't share it. That's really what you need to be doing. Whatever you want to see, share more of that.
Right. And I think it's great also for building relationships. The people whose stuff you share, it's a level up. Like if you use Twitter, the lowest form of engagement is to like something, right? If you retweet, now you're saying, this is worthy of me sort of introducing it to my community. And if you retweet and then you later put a comment on or communicate or whatever, now you're taking the relationship to the next level. It's the same thing with Facebook, but only slightly different, right? If you share something, that is a wonderful message to the people that are hosting the show or producing the content or whatever, that you really like what they're doing, right? Because you're not going to share you're going to like a lot of stuff, right? You're going to comment on some stuff, but sharing we're going to be most selective with, because our news feeds, like you say, get so busy, and people who are live streaming are going to have very busy news feeds, because our shows are going to go in our streams, and we're going to promote, if we promote or repurpose stuff, that's going to go in our streams. So I think it's a great way to let people know that you appreciate what they're doing, or you discover a new show and you're like, this is great, or whatever, or to reciprocate for somebody who's supporting you. I think that's a key part of building your community and building relationships is sharing people's stuff. And I know it means more to me when somebody shares something than when they just like it. Although I very much appreciate when somebody likes something, and I definitely appreciate the comments. But a share is like saying, this is worthy of sticking in front of my friends and family and colleagues and whatever, who are already being inundated and bombarded with Facebook notifications and posts and all that stuff.
Like a step of approval. Like
exactly.
So much that you're willing to share it out with your tribe, your friends and family. But if you're on Facebook and you don't like what you're seeing, like you're seeing a bunch of stuff that you just don't know why it's showing up in your feed, as April said, be more more conscious of what you're sharing and what you're commenting on. So be intentional, and then you'll start to see more of what you want to see. Sometimes you get to where you see only one thing, like Ross and I were talking about. We see mostly just live streaming stuff. Now, obviously, I have other interests outside of live streaming, but this is what I engage in the most. And part of that's because Facebook favors live, and so it just shows us more live. But yeah, I mean, just be conscious of that. If you're building a tribe, that's good for you to know as someone who's trying to build. So we can do something like I know Steven's going to do soon, and that's put the please share button up there and ask you to share us. But as just a general user, it's also good for you to know so that you can be intentional in what you're liking, commenting on, and sharing, so that you see more of what you want to see.
Yeah, and you made a good point about the please share button. You have to ask, because a lot of times people are willing to do it if you ask, but if you don't ask, they're not thinking about it.
Well, hopefully they're so engaged in what you're saying that they're just not thinking about sharing. So it's just a general reminder, hey, if you like this, share it.
Right. And then you're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, well, this is pretty good. I'm getting some free content. I'm enjoying myself. Yeah, I'll share this out.
Okay. I'd just like to say hello to April and to Peter and to Tim. Thank you for joining us. Anybody else is watching, if you want to make a comment, we'll know who you are. We'll feature the comment on screen like we did with Peter. So welcome from Scotland. And I want to go back to something that April asked for Ross. And that is, Ross, how has live streaming transformed your life?
Well, wow. I mean, it's changed so much. I mean, the people that like I said before, the people that I'm in touch with now weren't even when I say in touch with now, I'm talking about the people that I talk to on a regular basis, the people day in and day out that I'm communicating with, that I'm, collaborating with live streaming, the events that I'm going to. All of this is like a new world from 2 years ago, right? When I had left broadcasting, I never thought I would get back to anything like, online broadcasting or anything like that. And so this is an entirely new world for me. I'm having a blast. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do the red carpet from Mario Armstrong's Never Settle show, speak at Summit Live. I work with some brands and, be a part of this great BeLive community, which is now really supplanted Blab as the premier. Blab was the sort of the premier community for connecting and networking and conversations and learning, right? That's, Periscope is strong, and Facebook Live itself are both strong, and YouTube for live streaming and recorded videos. But for the community and learning and engagement, BeLive has taken over now, where Blab kind of left off, except that BeLive's doing it with a higher quality product and encouraging people to level up what they're doing, whereas Blab had absolutely no quality control. You'd go to the front page of Blab and it would be, you know, oh my God, I hope my guest doesn't see this when they come on this show. Whereas BeLive is, and this is what the Best of BeLive show is about, but in everything that BeLive is doing, it's highlighting what members of its community are doing well and what you can take away, how you can get better at using the tools that are provided, how you can get started, how you can grow. This is what you guys do. It's what the whole community's really about. And there's so much space in the live streaming world for people to make a difference and make a name for themselves. And yeah, I'm just loving it. I'm loving seeing other people get started and grow, and different types of content that I wasn't even aware of that was out there through BeLive, the community, the groups. I'm discovering new stuff really for the first time since Blab. I mean, occasionally somebody would come along and make a big impact, but Blab had that discoverability, and through the BeLive group and Facebook page, now we're discovering all, you know, like new shows, new kinds of content, connecting with new people again. So, yeah, it's wonderful. I'm having the time of my life doing this.
Well, I think Tina, I mean, we've taken BeLiveinFive. This was an idea that we had in May, and we created the BeLiveinFive course on Udemy, which has got over 2,400 students. And there are a great number of people who are involved in live TV, Facebook Live now. It's increasing all the time. But what I'm finding, I don't know about you, Tina, is that more and more businesses are wanting to come on as well. That's the same question for you in a minute, Ross.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I work primarily with funeral homes, as you all know. I have a couple of clients that are in the healthcare industry, and those are two of the most difficult businesses to get to try anything new.
Right.
You know, and there's just the funeral home's sensitive, you know, it's very conservative and very sensitive subject matter that you're talking about. And then with healthcare, you have, of course, you have liability issues. And so, you know, I kind of have to drag them kicking and screaming along to the game here. But even they are realizing, and we have a handful of funeral homes that do live shows. So that's great. And the healthcare industry is being a little bit more difficult, but I think it's just being cautious with the content that they bring. We have to make sure, like I said, that there's no liability issues. You have to be really careful when you're giving a health advice online, even if you're a physician.
That's right.
So, you know, we're getting there in small steps, but I think with local business, and especially, and I work with a few local businesses, thanks to, you know, to doing a hyper-local news agency type thing in the past. This is like, it's so huge for them, because prior to live coming to bear, you know, to what it is now, the cost of entry to get something produced was out of range for most small business owners. Yeah. You know, you're talking thousands of dollars to get it, you know, probably if we're here in, you know, small town USA, so we would have to get someone out of Knoxville or Nashville or Chattanooga to come down with their crews to shoot a commercial, and then we have to wait on production. And also, you're talking thousands of dollars that was just out of the budget for small businesses. So live is huge for small business owners. The barrier of entry is so small, anybody can do it. And I know Ross you work with some local businesses, don't you?
I do. And, you know, it caught my mind, caught my eye was what you said, at funeral homes, right? Look at this device here. This is called the Boxcast, right? Do you know how this device was? It's a hardware encoder that basically lets you plug your camera and internet connection in and go live without a computer or cell phone, right? You know how this was invented?
No, actually, don't tell us.
It was invented because a funeral home director wanted to be able to live stream the services to people who couldn't attend, and they brought that up to the guy who would become the CEO of Boxcast. And so there's uses in business. Like, most people wouldn't think, okay, I'm going to go to a funeral home and perhaps introduce live streaming. but you'd be surprised on the industries that actually really could do some good things for people if they have this technology. I mean, and it really, in a very tasteful way, can allow people to see who can't travel, older folks who can't travel, people who are on the other side of the world, whatever, and at least they can feel in their own way that they're paying their respects and that they're there in a sense with the family members and so forth. So that's where Boxcast came. A funeral director who wasn't technical wanted an easy way to just plug in a camera and go live to the internet and capture what was going on without needing to do anything else. And, you know, when we talk about BeLive, that's one of the great things, right? You can be somebody who wants to do no production at all, and it's an easy to get on and get going, but you can also do a lot of the TV style production stuff if you'd like to, with changing shots and lower thirds. And you have it in a way that doesn't take you 2 hours to set up ahead of time and use Photoshop files and all this stuff that, you know, people who are using, you know, OBS and other kinds of software need to do. And there's a place for that software. I think there's great stuff with OBS and Wirecast and all that. But if you're focused on getting your guest on, getting on quick, making it easy for your guest, and highlighting the comments and really feeling like you're right there with the people who are commenting on Facebook, the way the BeLive interface works, it's remarkable, really.
And that's really the power, you know, of BeLive. That's what makes it stand out above the rest, is the ability that it gives you to actually engage with the audience. I think it's heads and shoulders above most other platforms in doing that, and at least in the way that it looks. I mean, it just looks so nice.
Right.
You know, you can interact with your audience on other platforms, but to pull up the comments and, you know, it brings in automatically the person's little profile picture and everything. It just looks so good. So it's my favorite platform to use so far. And I've played with a few, not as many as you guys, but
right.
Back to the funeral home industry, you know, offering live streaming of the services is pretty common now for funeral homes. And, you know, some people think it's weird, but think if you are stationed overseas and you can't get back home for a parent's funeral service, you know, what would it mean to you to be able to at least be engaged in some way and to be part of that with your family? We have shut-ins and elderly who can't travel to these. So I think it's, I think it's great that they've embraced that technology. There's some stuff that sometimes make my eyebrows raise in the industry. There's a Memphis funeral home that has a drive-through viewing.
Wow.
It's like you have 3 minutes. So you can drive up to the window, and it's in a bank that's been renovated into a funeral home. So they have the big bank teller window. So you
have to put your ATM card in and the window opens.
I don't know. So, you know, I would love to have them on one of our shows to see how this has been received in the community. I know we're all busy, but come on, you can get out of the car and going. I get coffee with that. That's all I want.
Right.
Going from that side of things, I just want to give a shout out to somebody who is using BeLive.tv, and that's Emma and Lucy, who are two young musicians who, working with Vincent Burkhardt, are actually, inspired by Vincent, I suspect, starting their own BeLive.tv show on Saturday, and it's the first episode. So every success with it, and may your music flourish, and BeLive TV play its part in getting the word out, because for musicians, BeLive TV is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, live streaming in general is amazing for musicians. I mean, it's a chance to go directly to the customer. I mean, one of the great things about all live streaming is that no longer are you relying on gatekeepers, right? If you wanted to do a show like this 5 years ago, right, you'd have to audition for a TV station or a production company, or, you know, somehow slip into a studio and make a recording that you deliver to a radio station to show them what you were capable of doing. And now anybody can go on who has, you know, a computer and decent internet access, And you can create your own show. You can reach your audience without needing to go through all those steps, because only a small number of people actually get through the gate, right? And then the other people have to spend $20,000 on an infomercial or buy radio time on a Saturday afternoon or something like that. So the ability to go on and acquire new customers and make new connections, grow your network, all those things are amazing. And for musicians, a lot of them are monetizing this stuff. I mean, it's a great call to action for them. Check me out on Amazon or iTunes, or go to my website. You can purchase downloads from there or whatever. So for musicians, it's great. And again, one of the great things about live streaming for any type of professional is if you can show what you do, right? And a musician is like the ultimate of doing that, right? Because they get on and they actually play music, and you know right away whether you like it or you don't like it. And it's the same thing like coaches and consultants and people can show how they would help somebody with a certain issue or whatever, and then you get a sense of what it would be like to work with them. So there's so many different ways that people can use live streaming, but the music industry definitely it's coming along, and some musicians have become really well known through live streaming, and it's a lot of hard work. I think. I mean, I think they enjoy it, but they know they've got to show up over and over, and like their audience expects them to show up every day.
I mean, I would say that going live on Facebook is great training for going live to a wider audience. If I was going to go live on YouTube, I would practice on Facebook first. Yeah, so you get the confidence. Your thoughts on that? Because you can practice in a private group.
Well, I would get far more of an audience. I mean, I guess it depends on the person. I get far more of an audience on Facebook. If I were to go live on YouTube, I would be wondering if anybody was watching, just because that's not where I hang out and generally go live. I kind of use YouTube as more of an archive, right? Where I post stuff after it's done and use it to embed. Now, if I started going live all the time there, that would be, when I first came to Facebook, I was like, wow, this is kind of a big deal, right? Facebook, anybody can see, because Blab was kind of, even though it was open, most people didn't know about it, right? Now, all of a sudden, your family, your friends, your colleagues can see what you're doing. And so YouTube does seem like another step. It's like, it's been around longer. You've got people who are professional video makers, not just live streamers, but filmmakers and creatives who are doing all different types of stuff on YouTube. And it does seem like if you can make a mark on YouTube, that's another feather in your cap, right?
That's true, and we're fortunate to have within our group people like Owen and Brian G. Johnson, and I would suggest that Emma and Lucy actually speak to them as well to find out more about the YouTube site. Technical question from Lucy, and what is the easiest way to share a YouTube video during a BeLive broadcast?
So there's the screen share feature that you have if you're using the talk show, and I think people on whatever level subscription have that talk show feature, right? Have the talk show option. If you have the talk show option, then you'll have screen sharing, and so you don't want to share your whole screen. You want to share a window, right? So if you have YouTube open in Chrome, for example, you can share the window from Chrome where the video is, and then play the video. I if I can try and download the video from somewhere or use and then make a clip out of it so that I'm just running in QuickTime or another video player that video and sharing it. So that way the video will fill the whole window and I have control over it, and I make sure that the audio is off, unless of course I would want that. Because that gets into a whole nother complication of how you get the audio on, and that's not something that I've tried to do. But I also know that Facebook, with the audio, you got to be careful because they may think that you're taking copyrighted material. And that could even be if you're playing your own song, because the algorithm can't distinguish,
I mean, Tina, we know of people who've been, let's say, suspended because of live music or music.
Yeah, it's interesting. Whenever I was doing County Buzz, which is a hyperlocal news thing, we did Hive Notes, which was a live music show. And we'd have bands come in and, they'd set up and just do a live set. Some of them played original music, but a lot of them covered music. And we've never had a single video flagged. But we covered a Christmas parade. One of the floats was playing a Chipmunks Christmas song, and that video got taken down.
Now, it was playing the actual Chipmunks recording, right?
Yeah.
See, I think there's something in the algorithm that can tell like a recording versus a live cover.
Yeah.
And it's the recording that gets you in trouble. So if the Rolling Stones were live streaming on BeLive and decided to play one of their songs in the background, even though they own the rights to it, I'm not sure that the algorithm on Facebook can distinguish that, it's the Rolling Stones playing their own, so they could get suspended for that. You understand?
True.
But I mean, the screen sharing feature is something, you need to play around with and share. What you have to do is you need to click, don't share your whole screen, because your whole screen, you want to have the show open on your screen and all that. Share the video from an app, whether it's another browser window, whether it's a video player. Do that. There's ways you can capture video from YouTube or download video. I won't necessarily get into those. But that's all possible, assuming you use it. I mean, that's how I get sometimes the B-roll for that I put behind the guests on Best of BeLive. I don't necessarily ask them to download it and send it to me. I capture it and use it. And of course, I don't play the audio, and I'm doing it to promote them and promote BeLive. So there's no issue, and it's a short clip. It falls under fair use, and so there's a lot of things to know. But basically, to share a YouTube video, you use the screen sharing feature.
Yeah.
And then you select the app, and the app that you're using on your desktop will probably be a browser. Unless you have a downloaded video, then it would be whatever your video player is, like QuickTime or Windows Media Player or whatever.
There are so many options. If I was going to do it, I would actually use something like Manycam, play the video through Manycam from YouTube, and then. But there's so many different ways of doing it.
How does that work? Explain how that works?
Manycam is a virtual camera.
Okay.
Yeah? And it's virtual camera with video and sound. Manycam has the ability to play YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can play the YouTube video through Manycam, and it will appear. Instead, if I put the video on, it would appear where I am now. Yeah. So the YouTube video would be here in place of me, and I would be full screen. Yeah. And it would play, but there would be copyright problems if I was going on Facebook, as you just said.
Right.
But there are so many ways. Anyway, I want to sort of change the temper for a moment.
Sure.
We'll talk about that later. Have you met Peter Stewart at all on your travels, Ross?
I have not.
Right. Okay. I have a friend whose name is Peter Stewart, and he is in Aberdeen in Scotland, and he has a question or an observation. So I'm going to drop down for a moment. Tina knows him, and I'm going to drop down for a moment and bring Peter on screen.
Sure.
Oh, I didn't know I had a question. But anyway, I just thought I would meet you. And something I would probably want to tell you anyway, that, it's not the videos for me. It's not what's been happening right away, but I just done videos. One made me £500 recently, and that was from a while back, and people stopped me in the street because of live videos I've done, and they've got to know my business because I'm in a a strange business as well. Like, you've got the funeral directors, but I've actually got a pest control business, which is very common in the States, and people have stopped me. And I went into a bank the other day, and I actually had my uniform jacket on, which I don't usually wear now. And I went in, the bank man said to me before we started, he said, "You're the guy from the video." I said, "That's right." And then he said, I said, "Which video sticks out in your mind?" He says, "It's the one where you're sitting in your van," because we do it from the van, "and you're sitting there with beekeepers' hats on and Madonna." And he said it was so funny. And so that gets me work. So I'm just thinking what I'm going to do one day is I'm going to do a live stream to from the van right into Facebook. But I'm going to tell everybody there's going to be a certain time. Here's a question. So what way have you found that gets people to come and listen to you live?
I think showing up often, but not necessarily every day, but doing some regularly scheduled content so people know when to find you. So like every week at a certain time or a couple times a week, if you go live around the same time, people start expecting that, and your fans and your community starts knowing to show up at that time. Beyond that, it's just you just keep at it, and you hope that what you're doing is resonating with people, and if it's not, then you make little tweaks here and there. But I mean, it sounds like you're off to such a great start. I would hate to tell you something that would send you in another direction, right? Because it's what works. It's how you connect your business in a way that both lets people know about your business, right, and is relevant to your business, but also works as a piece of video content for people who don't need pest control at that moment, right?
That's right.
So that they remember you, and then it's like, I like this guy, I like what he does, I like listening to him, I enjoy his videos. Oh, by the way, we have a pest problem here. Let me give Peter Stewart a call because I know him, so he's going to be the first pest control person that's on their mind. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, videos showing the, exactly what you do at work. It could be something fun about the van. It could be anything that just gives you a chance to remind people of what you do. And then from there, you do what you do, right? What makes you entertaining, what makes you informative.
I'll give you the name of the business. So I'll put it in chat for you, right? And look it up. Better put my glasses. And so you can have a look, and you can see this.
So Peter is modest because he does something very well that we talk about when we talk about live streaming. If you can educate or entertain, people will watch you. And he does both, and he does it well.
Right.
That's why people remember him, because he's entertaining, but also because he's giving them information that they can use, or giving them a service that they can come to when they need it.
That is the sweet spot: inform and entertain, right? Because somebody can take away something that they can use to make their life better, but ultimately, if they're not enjoying the conversation, they're not engaged with it, they're not entertained by it, it's hard to get. It's still an entertainment business, right? It's like if a song has a great message, right, but you can't stand the music, ultimately you're not coming back. But if the music is good and the lyrics don't resonate, you're probably still tapping your foot along with it, right? So you got to have sort of both sides, but it's important to remember that it is a entertainment and a form of communication. It's not just reading a list of information. So, I mean, that's awesome that you have, been able to hit both of those areas really well.
Well, I just, how I done it is I just, one day sat in the van, pulled out a selfie stick and put my iCamera in it, and I boosted the video. I boosted it. I paid a little boost. But that video's had over 10,000 hits locally. Wow. And I only wanted it locally. And then people, I mean, I had a guy message me the other night. He says, "Yeah, I seen you," and then this other guy used me, and I didn't expect money then, but people know us so well. They know the vans, they know my employees, and that's worked quite well. And it was just I just went on there and had a bit of fun, really.
Right.
And yeah, and so the biggest problem I've got is thinking what to do next. And even I'm going to have to tell you this story, then I'll let you go.
Okay.
So I just had heart surgery recently, 3 months ago.
Oh, wow.
And I had to come in and get an emergency side operation. And the surgeon came in, and the trainee surgeon came in. He was quite qualified, and they all came around my bed. There's a lot of trainees, and they're all watching down at me. And just before he was about to make an incision, one of the trainees at the end of the bed said to me, "Do you have a guy work for you called Willie?" And I goes, "Yes, I have actually." And he said, "I thought I knew your voice." He says, "We love your videos." And then they stopped working. They were all talking about the video. And I'm waiting there. And I'm saying, "What did you like about it?" And I was meant to be getting this operation to get a drain in. And I just thought, wow, that is unbelievable. And I just thought it was, and what these people do with that video, they don't say anything. All they do is give a name underneath their name to their friend. And it just snowballed. It was unbelievable. So
That is great.
I didn't expect that. But I also got another one. I got the Talkinator, which is my speaking business. And I'm going to be going and interviewing people with that as well to give them a chance to speak. So I'll be running that again. But I'm trying to find the best time to do that, actually. What's the best time to do a show for a business? Is it during the working day or is it in the evening?
It's whenever you're at your best.
All right, okay.
Because if you're into it and you got the energy and all that, that'll be contagious. I don't think that there's a right or wrong time. Yeah. I mean, I would say probably a weekday is probably better than a weekend.
Yeah,
and not too late at night. I think the later you go into the evening, the more people don't want as much businessy content. But
yeah,
it sounds like your stuff is really entertaining, so I think people might watch it any time of the day.
If I don't go on when I was doing it regularly, they were saying, "Where were you?" People actually waiting for it. So I'll tell you what happened. The most views I got in a video was I was down in London, and I was waiting to do something in London, and I just threw on the video and spoke to people for about an hour live, sitting in London because I'm from Aberdeen. And people were I says, "I'm bored, come in for a chat." And I got a lot of people coming in having a chat with me.
Wow.
One of the things I love about live video is you can never tell what's going to happen. And we should mention that Peter and I are part of Loving for Britain, which every Thursday for the last 94 weeks has broadcast a show which goes out live to the nation and to our friends in the USA and Australia. And we quite enjoy doing that. And Peter, thank you for joining us today. And
thanks so much, Peter. Great meeting you.
Catch you later.
Keep up the great work.
That's it. That you do not know what is going to happen in a broadcast. And Peter, thanks for joining us because it helps change the tempo and it brings a Scottish flavour to the show.
Yes. I love his accent, so I was thrilled to have him on.
Oh yeah.
I love how many different elements he brings in, right? Like he went into doing Facebook ads, and then he went totally local. He went so heavy into local, and of course that's the perfect strategy when you have a local business. So he's doing all the right things. It sounds like, and I can't wait to check.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and I can't wait to check out his videos when we're done.
Well, it was great that he came on because we were just talking about using Facebook Live for local business, and he's a great testimonial for that.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go back a little way because you and I have worked together, Ross.
Yes.
And we worked together on this, which was BeLive Weekly.
That's right.
And we've both been trying to give a shout out to Mr. Adams, because on the show that night, his final show, he gracefully highlighted the three of us.
Yes.
So just a moment. Jeff, you're awesome. Ross, your take?
Oh, I mean, I had a wonderful time working with Jeff. Jeff is a pro. He's a lot of fun. He's just a great guy, and he's got so much experience in broadcasting and with gear and with the entire range of what it takes to put on a show, right? So, I mean, when I saw that Jeff was coming over and doing stuff on BeLive, I was like, wow, that's awesome that he's using BeLive. It like reaffirmed for me that I made the right choice to use BeLive at that time. And then when he invited me to be a part of the show and do a segment every week, I'm extremely grateful for him for that invitation, because it really gave me a chance to become part of the BeLive community on a deeper level. And I can't say enough nice things about Jeff. It was an absolute pleasure working with him. He was a total gentleman, and he didn't have to open up his forum and share it with other people and give other people a chance to have a voice and a chance to share their knowledge. And that speaks a lot for him, because a lot of other people who had his platform would have made sure not to let other people step on it, because or step into it. We're like not stepping on it like that, but step onto that platform with him, right? And they would have been, hey, it's my show. I'm out here. I don't need anybody else. And so that's, I'm forever grateful to him for sharing that platform with me and giving me time on every show. And he treated me more like a co-host than like a guest when I was on his show. And basically I was a permanent guest for, several months. And man, he's awesome. I just can't wait to see what he does next. Right.
Well, he's an entertainer. So he's got that. I mean, that's what draws people to live videos. If you have an entertainment, and not everyone transitioning from radio to live can make that transition. It just doesn't work for some people. Some people are just radio people, and that's fine. But he made the transition, and I think part of the reason that he does is because he's so approachable.
Right.
Within a day of literally a day of joining BeLive and getting in the BeLivers group, he was one of the first, or if not the first, live show broadcast that I saw. I sent him a PM and was asking him a million questions, and guess what? He responded to all of them and was very gracious and kind and free with this information. And, probably within a few weeks of being on, I got kind of hoisted into hosting for him while he was dealing with tech issues, an entire show. And I was literally unknown in this community. And so, I like you guys, I have nothing
but. What a great experience.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. And he was just really helpful to us working in the news agency to try to figure out everything. It was kind of frustrating though, because we just spent like literally, like $10,000 on equipment to do live broadcasting, high res, high def and everything. And, in a couple of weeks we figure out we didn't need that. Could have just done it with this. Right.
And I think for a lot of people coming from radio, having worked in radio, or people coming from TV, it's a one-way broadcast, right? There's no instant feedback, there's no chat going on. You're just putting the info and the content out there, and Jeff's ability to be social, to understand social media, which is a huge component, right? Like live streaming, when you break it down, it's basically largely broadcasting, and it's largely social media with a little bit of tech thrown in, right? And most people come from social media who've gotten into live stream, or they've come from tech. Not a lot of people have come from broadcasting. And the social media and the tech people are learning broadcasting, but the people who come from broadcasting, unless, like I've been very active on social media long before I got into live streaming, but a lot of people from broadcasting don't have really any feel for how social media works. And if they've had some success in broadcasting, they feel like they're up here and they're talking to them. And even though they're trying to connect, they've a lot of times isolated themselves some, because it's not even when you're taking calls in radio, the call is screened. It's very, very different than the type of engagement that we do in live streaming. And I think that's what's made Jeff so successful at it, because he really built up that show. I mean, he took a show that didn't exist, right? And by the time he left, it was like 10,000 views, 7,000 views, 15,000 views on his show. I mean, that was a remarkable growth that he pulled off in, I don't know, less than a year, 10 months, 9 months. I mean, it's amazing. And I think a lot of that has to go with his combination of having both broadcast skills, but also understanding social media and the community aspect of it, which I think is just a foreign language to a lot of people coming from old media.
Well, and he not only did he understand social, but he was willing to learn. I mean, my background is in digital, in web development and in social media. And so to see Jeff's growth in his understanding of social and how to utilize it, because even if you are active on social media and you're a consumer, it's completely different from being someone who uses social as opposed to consumes it. And so I've seen a lot of growth, and I have no doubt that whatever he does next will be successful, because now he has not only that broadcast experience and the personality and the entertaining aspect of it, but he understands social even better.
And he has a whole community that's behind him and rooting for him, which is
I think
a great way to start off a new show.
That he did that really helped. I mean, he has some influencers in his network, which always helps. If you can connect with influencers who then like what you do and they'll share it out, that's golden. But one of the things that he did was, when he was going through some difficult times, he came live and just had open, honest conversation. And he was very raw and vulnerable. And that gained him a lot of people who liked and followed him, and they followed him further from that on to the BeLive weekly show. So, I mean, I think that don't be afraid to do that if that's who you are. I mean, if it's not who you are, if you're uncomfortable doing that, then people they'll see that you're uncomfortable doing it. So don't do it if it's not who you are. But it worked really well for him.
Yeah. And Jeff's next action is on the 16th of October with the BeLive Birthday Bash, which starts at 8 a.m. Eastern and finishes at 2 a.m. Eastern. So he's got a very long day, and he is master of ceremonies for the whole day. We'll be around linking the shows, introducing the shows, appearing on the shows, and we're hoping during the course of the day that we've got the moderators show, and we're angling for a second show. If you want to appear on BeLive.tv, go to BeLivers and say you want to be on the show for 10 minutes, and you've got your own 10-minute slot. Now, talking about appearing on other people's shows, could you tell us a little about the Never Settle show? Because you were part of that.
Well, I did the red carpet interviews before Mario goes live with the show, right? He put together an entire event. Again, this is something that you don't see in traditional broadcasting, right? In traditional broadcasting, they lead the audience in, they sit them down, they have a little skit or entertainment for them, and basically they tell them when to clap, and that's basically what you do. And then they usher you out so that the host doesn't have to smell you or look at you or whatever. Right. So what Mario did, even though he's on the Today Show, he is embedded in the old world of broadcasting. He is a celebrity in his own right. He put together a full pre-show event that the point of it was to get people networking, to meet each other. And the event was right there where the cast and the crew were getting set up and getting ready for the show, and he stayed after and shook everybody's hand and talked to everybody. It was a totally different atmosphere, and from anything that I'd ever seen in old world broadcasting. And he did it at such a high level. They did really TV quality production for a show that was live streamed to Facebook, multiple cameras, full professional cameras, production crew, technical director, the whole thing. And but it mixed in that community aspect of live streaming. It mixed in the chat, the real-time feedback, audience questions. It was just a fun show. And I really enjoyed doing the red carpet, where at the event I would interview cast members and crew and some of the show guests and people who were attending, including people we know from live streaming who, would show up. Michael Campbell was there every episode representing the co-producers. Chris Strub showed up for several episodes. Sandra Centurino was there. Jen Nelson was there. A lot of people that we know, and there's other people I'm not coming to mind at the moment, but it was great to see these people in that situation as well, and talk to them, as well as talking to Mario and the Kathy Nolan and all the different people who were part of the cast. So I really enjoyed that, and we got to say a huge congratulations to the Never Settle show. They won Best Live Show at the IAW TV. That's the International Association of Web Television, I think.
Wow.
Awards. And so, I mean, they had this vision of a show, and they made it happen. Mario and his wife, Nicole, and the whole team that they worked with at Roker Media and at their own production company to make it happen. I'm so happy for them. It's a really well-deserved honor.
Yeah, they had some, all of this, when it come together and it looked polished. I mean, it is live TV, so you had some funny things happen, like when Mario was going to introduce his wife and she was in the restroom. That was really funny. So I mean, you had the things that happen with live, and we've known about that forever. Anytime you've had a live show, you never know what's going to happen. But it looked polished and everything looked great. He had great sponsors. He had FedEx was a sponsor, and the magazine, which Entrepreneur magazine. So everything looked polished on the, if you're just watching it, if you didn't know anything else about it, you stumbled across it and you're watching it, it looks like you said, a high-end quality television production. What was really cool about it was from the very beginning, he had this idea and he was rejected over and over again. But he didn't change his idea. He didn't change his message. He went looking for somebody who would support what he wanted to do. And then from the beginning, you mentioned having Michael Campbell there. Mm-hmm. He crowdsourced the production of the show before it ever happened. And so there was, the viewer insights and the viewer ideas all came in and were received and discussed. I mean, you could come and sit in if you wanted to, sort of a roundtable discussion and throw out the ideas that you had. And then when it came to have guests, he had guests who were well-known, who were professionals, who came in and offered advice and mentoring and all kinds of things. But he brought in people who just had ideas or people who were just starting. And so what I'm excited about is seeing, a couple of years down the road from now, I want to see the success stories. I want to see the collaboration that comes from the people who have met through the show and through the mentorship that's happening through the show. I think there's going to be some really great things that happen, good things, because that was one of the things that he focuses on is kind of, is doing good in the world. And so a lot of the people that he had on are people who are out doing things that are making a difference. And so I'm excited to see a couple of years from now the results of his efforts.
And I think he was also very innovative on the sponsorship advertiser side as well, because, traditional TV, we take a 4-minute break or whatever, and you play spot after spot after spot, and then you come back to the content. And he found a way to work all of the advertisers and sponsors into the show, whether it was going to the wine bar and chatting with that person, whether it was putting together a gift bag at the end. And hey, look what the people at the show are getting this week. And one time he actually took off his suit and underneath he had pajamas on because they were giving away pajamas. And all the different places for sort of brands to integrate into whether it was a FedEx giveaway to a viewer or whatever. I mean, he just, if you look at the entire toolkit of things that you could do with native advertising and product placement and, sponsorship opportunities and all that. I thought that he really ran the gamut of what you could do. And, I hope that comes through for him when he's ready for the next season that, you know, he gets even more sponsors and everything else. Even the distribution was really smart, going to the Entrepreneur Facebook page so that they went out on a page that had a huge built-in audience.
And talking of great successes, because that's what you're celebrating with the Never Settle show. Mm-hmm. We've talked about the Monday night on BeLive, but there's also a Tuesday night on BeLive, isn't there? With the best of BeLive. So would you like to tell us about that?
Yeah, Rachel Moore and I are 3 episodes in. Best of BeLive features our picks for that week. Each week we pick a show that we believe is really effectively using the BeLive platform, producing high quality content. It doesn't have to be a sophisticated production. We've featured shows that were very highly produced and shows that were not really produced beyond setting up the camera and talking. There's so many different ways you can use BeLive to create an effective show. So what we want to do is shine a spotlight on the people who are doing great stuff and creating great content, and also talk about what they're doing and see how we can all incorporate some lessons from what they're doing into our own content. So the first half hour, Rachel and I reveal our picks, and we talk about why we picked the shows, do a little sort of review of the show. And then the second half an hour, we open it up for the viewers to vote and see which is their favorite from the pick, and that is that week's winner of the Best of BeLive. And we also bring on the hosts if they're available, and briefly chat with them and find out from them what they were thinking when they created their show, and, you know, what challenges they have, and just what's interesting, what stands out about their show. It may be the setting from where they're broadcasting. It may be certain guests that they have on regularly. It might be the gear they're using or not using, or how they're using BeLive, a feature that maybe we didn't think about, or something like that. So, and we hope that it exposes people to different kinds of content as well, because not everybody who's doing something unique and interesting on BeLive is necessarily doing it at a time or promoting it in a way that we all would see it, right? And so that's a fun thing to discover new shows and new talent.
One of our BeLiveInFive team actually broadcasts at what is best known as 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, and nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to see the show, but through the wonders of being able to share and live leap and so on, then we are gaining an audience. And it's gaining an audience, isn't it?
It is. That's the key. I mean, you know, I talked about this last week on the show, right? The song that's number 1 in the country or whatever on the charts isn't necessarily a great song, but if you have a song that nobody's ever listened to or purchased, chances are that isn't probably worth reviewing either, right? So it's got to be at least semi-popular. It's got to have some traction, or, you know, it's probably not going to be something we're going to talk about, but it doesn't have to be, you know, thousands of views or anything like that. I mean, just a show that's got engagement, it's got some level of community around it, and that's kind of what we look for. There's got to be a certain level, but it doesn't have to be, you know, thousands of viewers for every episode or something like that. I mean,
if you have a niche you won't necessarily have.
Right. You know,
15,000 viewers, especially if you have something very specialized. I mean, we have the Rare Book Cafe, which caters to rare book dealers and people who are interested in rare books. I mean, that's a pretty narrow niche. It's a great show. They had the world's youngest rare book dealer on. I think he was like 10.
Wow.
And it was
right.
The other day.
And the more unique the content is and the subject matter and more niche it is, the more that there's leeway in that, right? Like, you're not going to expect as big an audience, but you're going to get major points for doing something different and bringing live streaming into an area where maybe it wasn't really reaching before, right?
That's very, very true. I don't know where the time's gone, but we're coming up towards the hour. Now, before the three of us sign out, I want to bring Peter stayed with us, so I want to bring Peter up to give a word to people watching today before we wrap up And just give me a second. Peter will come up. He'll say he's short and emphasize the short speech, Peter.
Short, Peter.
Hi there again. I must have a bit of a reputation for being a speaker, but let me tell you something. Whoever's watching this, if it's new, look, it's going to be a case of trial and error. You try things, they'll work. You'll try things, they will work. But it's the things that you think will work, won't work. And it's the things that you think won't work, will work.
Yeah.
Give it a try.
Now, tell people where they can find you, Peter.
Or they can find me sitting in my house in Aberdeen. But if you go to two places you can get them on Facebook, Talkinator Training, the Talkinator, at the Talkinator, because that's my talking show from Exterminator to Talkinator. And you can also go on to Aberkill, Aberkil, where I've got an exterminating business for you Americans over there. We call it pest control. But look up Talkinator on Facebook. Please make comments in the Visney. Please get me gigs so I can make money.
There you go.
That's
Oh, and by the way, Tina, I was involved with the funeral directors at one time, but I'll tell you about that later.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to hear it. And put your links in the comments so people can just follow them.
Sorry, Peter. I couldn't
just taking control
Jump
back.
out.
I'm coming back. I want to talk. No. Right. Now, as we're coming to close of the show, I want you to talk about your show tonight, which is live stream deals.
So live stream deals is actually going to have its second episode tonight. The purpose of the show is to help people sell products and services that are of interest to the live stream community. These things are products and services I've either used or checked out, or I know the people well, or I've had other people review them and who I feel are very credible. And we got a great guest lineup tonight. Rebecca Radice, who's one of the top social media marketing bloggers in the world, has a new book called Social Media Mastery. She's going to be giving away 5 copies. Can't wait to talk to her. Daryl Eves is one of the world's leading YouTube marketers, YouTube experts. He's the creator of the Vid Summit event, which I'm actually going to be attending next week. He's going to be on to talk about what's coming up at Vid Summit and what ticket packages and so forth are still available. We're going to have Claudia Barbiero, who's the VP of Marketing at LiveU. LiveU actually made the machines that the Never Settle show used to stream to Facebook so that their connection wouldn't drop. They now have solo units, small units that individual live streamers can use. So I'm looking forward to talking to her about that. And then Nick Mattingly from Switcher Studio will be with us. Switcher Studio has a new version. Version 3.4 is now out. We'll find out what the new features are in version 3.4. And Switcher Studio is all about really taking your mobile live video production to the next level. So join us 7 p.m. Eastern, rossbrand.live on the Livestream Universe Facebook page.
And that's all tonight?
That's all tonight, all in 1 hour. It's a fast-paced hour. Nick from Switcher is going to give away a 3-month subscription. Claudia is going to have a gift pack for one viewer. And, of course, Rebecca is going to give away five books to viewers today. So it's going to be fun. Giveaways, new products, special offers. Definitely drop in and see what you might come away with or learn about or just have a good time. These are great guests in their own right. And it'll be interesting to hear what they have to say as well.
Brilliant.
So remind us what time. 7
p.m. Eastern today on the Livestream Universe Facebook page. You can get there by going to rossbrand.live, rossbrand.live.
Brilliant.
7 p.m. Eastern.
Well,
attendance will be taken. Please show up.
Indeed, everyone welcome. Now, Tina and I will be back on Tuesday with our talk show, and on Thursday with this show. I'm going to ask you a question now. I normally do this when things have gone so well. Will you come back in November, Ross?
I would love to.
Brilliant.
Thank
Job
you.
done, Tina. Right. Okay.
The on-air ask is always the best ask, right? Because it's very hard to say no. I do that all the time. So it's great technique. Steven froze for a second.
Really funny.
I know. I was just shocked you said yes, and I thought, wow. Right now we are BeLiveinFive.
Yeah, after we go off the air, I'll tell you that I can't make it, but on the air, I kind of seem like a nice guy. So no, I'm kidding. I'll definitely do it.
I know. One thing we've learned about the three of us is we're all straight up, and if you ask a question, you get a direct answer, and that's brilliant. To everybody who's watched today, Tina is about to close the show, but thank you to everybody, Vincent, John, because I can see this. Vincent, John, Reva, Eminent, Lucy, Fernando, David, April, Peter, Tim Gillette, especially Peter, Tim Gillette, everybody who's joined us today. It's been a blast. And Ross, thank you, and over to Tina.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And also, Peter, that was a brilliant way to validate what Ross and I are saying about local businesses.
Right.
So you can find me here at BeLiveinFive, and on Sunday night, we Take It to the Map with Michelle O'Neill, which is at Michelle O'Neill's Facebook page. So thank you all for joining us, and we will see you Tuesday.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
And